This keeps falling down. I don't know if something needs to be tightened.
Before you start, I was going to tell you. You're going to start. You're going to figure it out. So I have thought that was a good idea for a while, but I'm remembering now.
Let's do it.
What are you going to use?
Opening and closing songs. Well, and I'm doing special music, so I'm gonna say something before I do the special music. So those 3 times, yeah. Thanks.
Wow. That was my intention to get everyone's attention, but I struck it a little hard. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Chattanooga. I am the Reverend Mandy Goheen, and it is a special day on multiple levels, as it always is, but this is the 6th anniversary of the world's most awkward Mother's Day for me. And when I say that 6 years ago, this body was voting on whether I could be the next minister here. And I was at Walgreens down on Brainerd Road with people trying to offer to wash my windows while my kids gave me Mother's Day presents, and we waited for the news. And we got the good news on Mother's Day, but my child literally handed me a present, and he said, "Happy, most awkward Mother's Day ever." Because I was kind of crying and nervous, right? I'm the Reverend Mandy Goheen. It's my honor to serve this congregation as its settled minister the last 6 years. Welcome all caregivers. Welcome all people who identify with a motherly instinct or body or frame of mind. Welcome into this space of honoring all generations. This is a multi-generational service. You will notice there are places to color for all ages. And there are some poetry prompts at the back. And there are also some extra flowers in case you didn't bring a flower and would like to bring one forward in a little bit. Welcome into this space of love and justice. Welcome to this day where we celebrate membership and flowers and history and both the pain and gratitude associated with mothers and mothering. And the clicker's in my pocket. I'm going to practice that bell next time. Please join me in the land acknowledgement. At UUCC, we acknowledge that this church sits on Cherokee, Muskogee, and Yuchi land. And our mission together to create beloved community, awaken hearts and minds, resist injustice, and act with compassion, embrace life, and care for the earth. The chalice lighting began in Poland. The chalice lighting began by the same man who began the flower communion, Norbert Chopik. It was a symbol of resistance, and it was used as a symbol to bring people out of the dangerous space of Nazi in Europe spreading. Evil empire. We talked about Star Wars last week, though, so we'll stay focused. It's a symbol of our time together, the sacred beginnings and the sacred endings. Please join me in our chalice lighting words. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. And now, please rise in body and or spirit and join us in our opening song, If Every Person in the World. We mentioned this last week, but we changed woman to person, and I did get the other place woman snuck up in the slides changed as well. So you are free to use any kind of pronoun, any kind of thing, but this song is really for all people, not just women. So please join me lifting your voices and singing our hymn of the month, If Every Person in the World.
If
time for all ages, and you're already up here, so perfect. And you can keep coloring, or quietly, or you can listen to the story. I'm going to go get it. It's up here. Aha. This is a reading from the sacred book of nature. Once upon a time, long ago, it so happened, and we don't know why, but way back about 250 million years ago, in the middle of the Mesozoic era of Earth invented flowers. Suddenly, at least in terms of geological timelines, after hundreds of millions of years, during the shift to the Cretaceous mode, and every creature, every spirit of life that some call God or process theologian calls it a creative interchanging as the earth invents flowers. We don't know if the earth invented flowers independently, but we do know that there were bursts of evolution with flowers. And they co-evolved with pollinators, and maybe not the pollinators you would think of. Bats were one of the main pollinators of the time, and night birds. Some flowers adapted to pollinate themselves, to be pollinated at night. They had created sweet scents and beautiful colors. Evolution went right on developing an equally diverse insect population to help pollinate the flowers, inventing insects that do so much of the heavy work of pollination, and without them or the flowers, there would be no food. You probably know the quote by Emerson, "The earth laughs in flowers." Can't you just see it? The earth is a living organism, suddenly bursting into laughter, surprised into joy, its invention of flowers, not knowing what it would lead to. The creative run of evolutionary time gave rise to other forms of life, including mammals and eventually people. Why do I tell this story? Flowers are not just ornamental, bringing us joy or comfort, decorating our lives. Through sheer beauty, they are beyond extravagant. We owe them our lives, for without them, many other forms of life, including humans, would not exist. We are not only intimately related to them, we are, and our animal can depend on them for all the food. So it may be true, as the Japanese Zen master said once, in blossoming universe, all beings are flowers. The end. As I mentioned before, this is a multi-generational service, and we are in service to each other regardless of age. So as the Story for All Ages ends, our community stays together for this important holiday. But a little shout out to our religious educators, many of whom are parents and have the mothering spirit, are having the day off today, and we have everyone together. And if you think you are called to help our youth blossom and grow in this space, consider volunteering in our religious education department. And so, because this is multi-generational, there will be less sitting today, more movement, more creating a bouquet of beloved community. So, during this time, we'll bring our flowers forward. Oh no, I forgot a flower, you might say. There's some back there. I brought plenty for all of us so that we could build a big bouquet together. When you come forward, you're invited to bring your flower and put it in one of the vases, or if you brought a vase, set it down. You are invited to take one of these colorful glass stones and hold it in honor of any joys or concerns that you have had this week, and drop it in the cleansing water of our community. As you come up, if you are comfortable, you are welcome to get a hug from me, but it is not mandatory. I elbow, fist bump, toe bump, all the things. I even can wink and just wave and say hi. But those hugs are also really important to me. I just want to lift up how much I appreciate the things whispered in my ears during those hugs. The greetings, the silliness, and sometimes the sorrow of connecting with another person. It makes me feel important and helpful, and it makes me remember what you all need throughout the week. So if you feel like I'm giving too much away with all these hugs, do not believe that at all. It is a time of relationship and reciprocal exchange. It is my honor, but it is not coerced, and it is not necessary. So what I'd love for you all to do, if you want to start at the back, is get a flower and come forward, kind of in a little processional, and we'll just kind of go around in a circle. Did you see I rearranged the sanctuary so it was easier to walk around in a circle today? We're doing a little test of how many chairs we really need in here, how much space we really need. So in the spirit of that, I invite you forward to bring your joys, your concerns, and your flowers that can honor any kind of thing that's on your heart. there are so many kinds of being a mom, both with bodies and hearts and minds. It's not about one thing. But there is one thing that I know. It has a complexity to it that is astounding. It is as hard as it is joyful. It is a thing that changes over time. And so I want to honor everyone. And I know that when we do these litanies, somebody gets left out. So I just want to honor that. I also want to say, if I say some words that particularly touch you, you are welcome to put your hand on your heart. You're welcome to put your hand on your heart for all the things I say. We have a response, as you can see. If you can't read it quite, it says, "May the beginnings and endings in our stories be held in unconditional love and acceptance." So that's what the energy we're giving mothering, caretaking today. So we're going to build a bouquet. We already have the flowers here, and I will mention the different colors. And I invite you to soften your gaze at the flowers in the sanctuary that we continually build together and hold space for every story, the ones spoken aloud and the ones we keep in our hearts, the joyful stories and the ones that have cracked us open, the ones that have changed shape over time and the ones we have left behind. This morning, we honor our reproductive stories. As each flower is placed into the bouquet, may it be a symbol of the beauty and complexity, grief, power, sadness of our choices and our experiences. And like I said before, if you hear a story that resonates with your own, I invite you to place your hand on your heart and know that you're not alone. Others in this space are doing the same. The first flower I'm pulling out is the Bells of Ireland. It's not that pretty. It is. It is to me. It represents my ancestors, my grandmothers, the people that came before me. It represents the choices people made in the past to have me in this world. It represents home to me. And the next flower is probably a daylily, but maybe something fancier that I don't know the name of. And it's orange. And I place it in the bouquet for the complex choice that some make to end pregnancy. In place of this orange flower, for the stories that include the choices and the reasons that are as varied as our lives, and each decision was made in its own time and place, this lily is a symbol of mourning and rebirth and honors the endings and beginnings that the choice represents. Please join me in the response. May the beginnings and endings in our story be held in unconditional love and acceptance. A blue hydrangea, maybe because somebody made the dirt fancy, maybe because somebody dyed it, I don't know. But this is for loss, infertility, and stillbirth. It's in the bouquet for those stories, including my own, of the unwanted loss of pregnancy, infertility, or stillbirth, or death soon after birth. So often this grief is carried in silence. This hydrangea reminds us that silent grief deserves to be heard and honored and embraced with tenderness. Please join me. May the beginnings and endings in our story be held in unconditional love and acceptance. And now, for those of us who have made a choice to give birth or adopt is the sunflower. I place the sunflower in the bouquet for those who have chosen to give birth, who have partnered in a birth, or who have adopted in a child in their heart and in their home. The sunflower turns us towards the sun. It represents life, nurturing, and the radiant strength of parenthood. Please join me. May the beginnings and endings in our story be held in unconditional love and acceptance. And now, this rose, reddish pink, is added for those of us who have made the choice not to conceive or raise children. The rose of a symbol is an intention and a love of knowing oneself so deeply and living that truth with courage. Every path chosen freely is sacred. May the beginnings and endings in our story be held in unconditional love and acceptance. And these carnations are for those of us whose choices have been denied. I place them in the bouquet for those stories that include an absence of choice or violence, for those who have encountered harm where there should have been care. This carnation is a flower of memory and resilience and honors that pain and calls us to justice. May the beginnings and endings of our stories be held in unconditional love and acceptance. And these daisy-ish things that are a little mysterious are for the stories still unfolding of what that parenting or caregiving energy might be. For those whose reproductive stories are still being written, whose futures hold possibilities not yet known. This flower with its upward-reaching petals symbolizes openness, hope, and courage to step into the unknown. And now, for a final time, may the beginnings and endings in our stories be held in unconditional love and acceptance. May this bouquet remind us of the dignity in every path. May it bear witness to our joy, our grief, our choices, our resilience. And may it call us forward to build a world where every person has the freedom and power to write their own reproductive story in safety and love and in justice. May it be so, and blessed be.
This was my maternal grandmother's favorite song, and every time she heard it, she had a moment of silence. And my mother raised me to do the same. So every time we hear this song, and I'm teaching my kids to do that also, if you hear this song by the great J.S. Bach, we have a moment of silence. So I invite you to have a moment of silence as I play this and remember your parent and your caregiver that you're honoring today. And I dedicate this to my mother and my grandmother, who's no longer with us.
Thank you so much. Flowers seem right now. A lot's going on, right? It seems vitally important to take a little break for a minute and remember some of the history behind how these bouquets may have told someone a story in the past. In the Victorian era, there was a practice of handing out something called a tussie-mussy. Did anybody? Or a nosegay were the two names for this. And these were a particular arrangement of flowers. We still see this tradition on prom dresses. It's the corsage, sort of. But what we don't know is this was the Victorian era's version of social media. And how and what flower you wore was critical in communicating to the world what you were thinking. It was a secret code. A quote, a woman also had to be pretty precise about where she wore the flowers. Say, for instance, a suitor had sent her a tussie-mussy, and if she pinned it on the cleavage of her bosom, that would be bad news for him, since it signified friendship. But if she pinned it over her heart, it was an ambiguous declaration of love. Details such as positioning of flowers and their buds were very important and carried different messages. The action of giving flowers served as a silent answer to questions. If flowers were presented with the right hand, it would indicate the answer to the question was yes. With the left hand, no. Important details such as which side a bow was tied determined if the message applied to the person presenting the flower or the person receiving the flower. And I thought Facebook was complicated. It's called florography. It's a system that was a code, a way of perhaps showing who you were in a little slightly scandalous way of who you loved. Some common flowers and their meanings I found very fascinating. Red roses, of course, passionate love. White roses, innocence, spiritual love. Yellow roses, and I did not know this, don't only mean friendship, they mean jealousy. Pink, admiration, gratitude, but here's the catch, a wilted rose presented the rejection or fading love of people. Other popular symbols were lilies, purity, virtue, and spiritual devotion. Violets, modesty, humility, faithfulness. Ivy, fidelity, friendship, attachment. Forget-me-nots, true love and remembrance. Marigolds were for grief or jealousy. Got a couple of those, right? Daisies, innocence, new beginnings, loyalty. Chrysanthemums, love. If they were red, yellow, slighted love. Sunflowers, adoration, loyalty. You are my son. So, writing these codexes of flowers was popular. And somebody very important to us, a mother to something that wasn't people, was a woman in Unitarian Universalism named Dorothea Dix. Anybody know her as like the originator of nursing, perhaps? Yeah, I hear, yeah. Dorothea Dix did not care for the idea that people who were facing mental illness didn't have a place. This was pre-asylum period, which seems like yuck, they invented asylums, but gosh, it was better than what was there before, which was nothing. No care, actually ignoring people who were having different kinds of what was called frailties that were unappealing to look at. Dorothea's first work was to write a codex of flowers to help people understand what their meanings were, but she was distracted from that early on to become somebody who was an abolitionist, a creator of practice of nursing in the Civil War around how nurses behaved on the battlefield. She grew a great hatred for Southerners, unfortunately. We are all human, right? She died in a New Jersey hospital that she helped found. And she was not a mother of children, but she was a mother of understanding the care people needed. She was a mother of unconditional love and a fierce advocate for those who could not speak for themselves. She gave doctors a real hard time. There is some stuff about that in the journals, too. She was a hands-off kind of nurse. She didn't really want to touch anybody, but she did want to tell you how to do it and what to do next. Her empathy was bigger than one-on-one compassion. It had a more institutional reach. And in fact, she went to see the Pope and complained. And it was scandalous for a Protestant woman, Unitarian, remember, to go before the Pope and complain about his approach to people who were suffering from mental frailties, as she put it. She brought to life and to light the people who needed us most. And she worked tirelessly with people after war and understood that there were moral injuries. She may not have had that language. But what's fascinating is she wrote a book about flowers. And I was thinking about the importance of flowers and the language of flowers and the different meaning it has. And some of us need that flower to remind us that hope is real. Anybody who has ever done hard work knows that you need a flower when you're done to right yourself and to feel better. Any person who is a caregiver in a parental sense, who has watched a youth launch out into something unknown, and their heart has left with them and they're filled with worry, sometimes something as simple as looking at a flower can help reset our brains. I wonder if that coding is real, the coding of how our brain chemistry reacts to the colors of flowers. Do you have a favorite flower? When you think of that favorite flower, what does it remind you of? How does it remind you of hope? I like violets. They are kind of the symbol that things are on the upswing and perhaps that dreary winter is really, truly over. I like the purple on the ground as I walk past and notice. I like the smell of them, but not like my aunt had violet candy one time. Have you ever tasted that? Okay. I know some people feel the same way about cilantro, but I do not enjoy the taste of violets nor roses, but I do like how they feel and how they look and what they mean. And what I want you to take with you today is that there are all kinds of flowers, and there is as many kinds of flowers as there are ways to be caregivers in a mothering or non-mothering sense. And just in the same way, the flip side of the coin, there are as many people and kinds of people that need our help taking care of them at the same time. And if you have somebody who's been particularly difficult in your life, I like makeup flowers like the ones you get when something's been hard. The makeup flowers in our lives. And though he's not in the room, I'm going to tell a quick flower story. At the end of a big surgery in a tragic time, I said to my beloved spouse, we should send our moms flowers. And then when I said this, I said very specifically, and I don't like lilies, thinking that he would send me flowers too. Now, this turned into quite a tussle because my mom got flowers and his mom got flowers, and I didn't get flowers. And even though, so I would hint. Have you ever done that? Not really come out and said what was on your heart or what you were upset about, just dropped a hint like, I don't like lilies, or gosh, I hope they appreciated those. They sure did help me take care of you. You know, gosh, I do love dahlias. Goodness, roses aren't my favorite. Andre, get me flowers. And then he forgot, and I started doing it again. And then I got the bouquet that made up for all of it, as we do in our lives. It looked like it would be on my casket in the future. Yes, I'm talking about you. Hello. I let those flowers sit in that till they were brown and rotted, but every time I looked at them, it reminded me that sometimes when things are hard, we have to take a little bit of our own accountability and some effort into what we need. And here's what I would say: stop waiting for somebody to buy you flowers. Clearly, sometimes buy them for yourself. You're worth it. Buy them to honor something that you've done that was particularly hard in the context of caregiving or parenting or mothering. Buy them when you're sad or happy. Buy yourself flowers, because it doesn't hurt to hear the message that you love yourself every time you walk by the bouquet you've purchased. And today, a little bit later, we're going to create some bouquets. I'm not keeping all these. Remember, I said I don't like certain lilies. Anyway, as we take the flowers home with us today, I would love for you to put them in a little vase where you put them and remember how much this community loves you and how much we're here for each other. But we can't just expect somebody to take our hints all the time. We have to ask for what we need. And we have to take care of ourselves in ways that feel a little extravagant. But I'm going to tell you, you're worth that $5 bouquet from Trader Joe's every day. And don't wait for somebody to buy it for yourself. Maybe if you buy yourself enough flowers, they would get the hint that you wanted flowers. Anyway, may this Mother's Day be joyous if that is your thing. May this Mother's Day be joyous if you are the mother to animals instead of humans, or the mother of the creation of mental health in the United States. Maybe you're the mother of flowers or a flower bed. There is space, regardless of gender, to mother each other and to take care of each other. I've said Happy Mother's Day to 6 men in this room already today, just because it's a reflex back and forth. And just because it's not just for one person, it's way too big of a job. May your flowers bring you joy, and have a wonderful week. And we have more fun to come today. May it be so, and blessed be. And now I want to invite Gary up, actually, to talk about stewardship really quick. And it is our time in the service where we talk about money.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You thought you were rid of me. So, the stewardship campaign was supposed to be over by now. But let's talk about it. First, I too want to say Happy Mother's Day to everybody, as Mandy has said, who fills the role of mother in any way. That is a wonderful thing. Maybe I do it sometimes when Terry's not home. The most important thing here is thank you to all who have pledged to the stewardship campaign, well, pledged to UUCC via the stewardship campaign. It is really tremendous how many people are willing to stand up and say, I'm going to give this much money in the next year, and you all can plan your spending based on what I'm saying I'm going to pledge. But let's talk more specifically.
There's been a lot of fake news in the newsletter. Our number's been up from that little letter I wrote, so I want to clarify you're going to give us a better number.
I am going to give you a better number, right. A little bit better. The current number of people who have pledged is 52. The pledge total, if we add up all the money that's been pledged so far, is $117,000 and $464. $117,464. That is amazing. However, comparatively, compared to the budget, compared to the amount of money that we need for next year, compared to the amount that was pledged last year, and even for that matter for the year before, it is well under. We are well under the pledge level that we need to be at to fund our budget for next year. Part of next year's funding comes from some other sources, but it's a very small part. About 75 or 80% of our budget comes from pledges. And so without the pledges, there's not really any other good option. So for anyone who hasn't pledged, please seriously consider pledging. So what we're going to do here is we're going to extend the stewardship campaign one more week. But this is not going to be just another week of the same thing, because we have a special program that we're going to introduce this year, and that is an anonymous donor has put forward $2,000 that we can use as a matching gift. Now, anybody who's listened to public radio doesn't need to know what this means, because they use this all the time. But for those who don't, whatever you pledge this month, the donor will also pledge that same amount. We'll match your pledge.
This week.
I'm sorry, this week.
That would have fixed it, though.
Oh, thank you.
Right. This week, but also if you increase your pledge this week, right?
That's right. Also, if you increase your pledge this week from what it was before, then the donor will match that up to a total of $2,000. So.
Oh, no, total.
No, total.
Well, they're not that nice. They're very nice, but It's not the lottery.
It's pretty good, but it's not quite that good, yes. Okay. The other thing I wanted to say is the Stewardship Committee and the fabulous Jen Horning are presenting a luncheon for all of us. It is officially the Stewardship Campaign's thank you lunch for everyone who has pledged, but everyone is welcome to have some food and spend some time socializing. Let me check and make sure I covered all the points. That is today. That is in 10 minutes from now.
Take your mom.
Do you have anything else you'd like to cover?
I do want to add, don't go anywhere. Do you know how hard that job is that he's doing, which is standing up in front of everyone and talking about money in a way that makes people feel like it's okay to give, and balanced with the fact that this is a church with a mission to care, and we don't want people who can't give to feel a certain way about it. It's a really rough job, and he has really done a lot, and I want to express my gratitude for all the Stewardship Committee, but especially Gary this year, and can we get a round of applause for him?
My pleasure. Thank you.
It's like the gut work of this. And the budget, this is an inherently stressful time of year, but it's okay. It means that if we have to work this hard to take care of this community, it's totally worth it. And we're going to make a budget that is going to take care of this church and move it into the future. So thanks again. And you're off the hook, but we appreciate you. And we're going to talk about the offering. And here's another way that I like to introduce the offering in contrast to stewardship. Offerings are like the flower you might bring to somebody. It's a one of. It's something that helps facilitate this day. It's something that if you are feeling generous or you have the space to give a little extra, you can give a little extra. That money is not a very big part of the yearly budget. It really isn't. It is a space where we want you to feel welcome to give, but not obligated. So when we bring up the offering, I want you to think about, is this worth being a little more generous today? Because that's going to help us right now. But when we're talking about stewardship, we're talking about the future and next year and how we maintain this space of liberal religious ideas and openness and welcoming. Both are so critical and important, but there is a difference. And I just want to thank you for listening to our little NPR ads every week about stewardship and giving. We are a different kind of church. We're a different kind of people. We don't obligate people to a percentage. We invite you in to be part of community. So thank you all for that. And with that, today's offering will be gratefully received. You can let it pass by if you don't have any money in your pocket. You can just be part of this community with no obligations. Always welcome. So we'll be grateful. Thank you. Please join me in our offertory response. We give these gifts freely, committed to our mission to care, create beloved community, awaken hearts and minds, resist injustice, and act with compassion, embrace life, and care for the earth. To this work, we dedicate our offerings. And now it's time for our closing song. Any words of
I will
advice?
play it once through, and you all can listen and then join in.
Okay, please
So,
rise
all
in
right.
body and or spirit to join us in our closing hymn.
Love makes a bridge from heart to heart and hand to hand, and finds a way when laws are blind and freedom bend. Love makes the walls of language under class and age, and gives us wings to slip the bars of every cage. Love makes the hopes that force and fear have beaten down. Love breaks the chains and gives us strength to stand our ground. Imaginators they shake and not destroy. Love carries faith through life and death and who is joy.
Please be seated. Be careful of who and how you give flowers to. A flower given upside down could reverse its meaning. Combining red and white roses might symbolize a unity or truce. A bouquet of mixed blossoms could tell a full sentence or express layered emotions. Red roses and yellow carnations, would mean, I love you, but you disappoint me. Flowers are as complicated as the people in our lives and the roles we share, and flowers are the center of our day. May every flower you see this week remind you of this place. And now we're going to extinguish our chalice and get on to a little more partying. So please join me in the extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but keep the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with all the world. And now it's time for our sacred announcements. And we have some good ones today, I would think. Oh.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer, she, her. Pardon me while I'm having a Mexican standoff with Jen over who's going first. Okay, so forgive me, I don't do announcements normally, so I might stumble on this. Forgive me. I would like to remind everybody that next weekend is going to be our May Day celebration. Weather permitting, we'll have it outside. If not, we're going to figure out a way to have it inside, because if we put it off one more weekend, then it's June Day, and we don't need that. That's not a holiday. Please join us for our maypole ritual. We're going to have food, drinks, games, a whole bunch of fun stuff to do for the young and the young at heart. So please come join us next week. It's going to be right after church, I think around 12:30. Yep, 12:30. And that's it. Now it's Jen's turn.
Yeah, you did a good
Her
job.
first announcement.
Woo!
Yay! Okay. I just want to invite you all to stay for lunch with us. We have changed the name. It's a People Appreciation Luncheon. And you are people. So if you're here today, and you are, please stay and eat lunch with us. We have a lot of food. It would be an act of service for you to consume it. We do not have room for all the leftovers. We have food for vegans, vegetarians, carnivores. It's kind of a build your own nachos. We've got desserts, we have tea, we have lemonade, we have a whole bunch of things. So please stick around with us. We are using compostable dishes today, so we're gonna have two waste receptacles, one for scraping dishes and the other for the dishes themselves.
The chickens say thank you for Mother's Day gifts.
Oh, good.
Huh?
We got the chickens taken care of too.
know.
The buffet will start right outside this door. So you go out the door, you make a right, and down where the bowls and everything are, that's where you're going to start and head around. And truly, please eat food. Okay.
My car smelled like a Mexican restaurant on the way to church. Andres cooked a lot of stuff.
I'm going to shift gears here for a moment and talk about something that's not unique to our church, but unique to Unitarian Universalism as a whole. That's GA. When I say GA, I bet a lot of you think of Georgia. And when I see it on billboards, I say, no, it's not Georgia, it's General Assembly. And General Assembly is the annual meeting of the Unitarian Universalist Association, the UUA. And it's where participants gather to worship, witness, learn, connect, and make policy decisions for the association. It's a blast. This year, it's going to be what they call a multi-platform event. COVID put a damper on in-person events. They resumed, I think, a couple of years ago, and it was mainly an in-person event. Last year, it was all online. This year, it's going to be both online and in person. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but we'll find out. And what I'm up here now talking about this is that we need delegates, people to actually vote on the business matters of the association. It's a commitment of time, and you need to attend the plenary sessions, which are this year in the afternoon and not as long as they used to be. So if you're interested in being a delegate, please see me during the luncheon or email me, ask me questions. Fees go up to be registered as a delegate as of May 15th, so Time is of the essence. We need people there, and it's a really mind-blowing experience to associate with so many like people. GA, yeah, thank you, is the 18th through the 22nd, I believe. Yeah, the 22nd, Wednesday through Sunday. Nothing much happens on Wednesday. In the June, yes, sorry. Okay, I'm not awake yet.
Me neither.
Okay, you're much more awake
I
than
know,
I am.
okay, but
Yeah.
I'm not at the end of service, but yeah.
Okay, anything, and you want to add?
Yeah, I was
anything?
going to add a couple things. Like, imagine a whole year's worth of church crammed into 3 days. It's in Baltimore. And imagine all the dinners and dances and meetings of a whole year, like just in 3 days, with tons and tons of people. In Unitarian Universalism, we believe in polity, which means the people have the power, not the ministers necessarily. And so this is one of the examples of how that works. If you're curious or interested, I know there are some, scholarships. But also, if you really, really want to go and can't make that happen, I might be able to dig some up for you. So it's a really cool opportunity, and it's a really great opportunity to be with other people where you don't have to watch your mouth quite as much about your background or thoughts or how secretly liberal you might be.
Jan Brooks, my pronouns are she, her. This is, if you have already voted for your Donate the Plate choices, thank you. If you would like to vote, there are 2 ways. One, online, go to uucc.org, click on May 8th newsletter, and you'll see the newsletter. There's a blue icon, UU Votes, and you'll see the ballot and more about the choices there. Also, you can vote after church. There is a 3-part poster board with stickers, and your stickers are your ballots. Vote 11 times, vote once only for each nonprofit, and use the stickers.
Hello, I'm Judy Gallagher, your president until the end of June. I just also want to add a thank you to all of those who have pledged, and I have just little thank you notes that I'm handing out, but there may be some of you whose faces and names I might not connect, so if you know you've pledged and I don't hand you one, please come see me because I don't want to leave you up. Thank you.
So I am going to change things a little bit because that's how we roll, which is I was just imagining you all coming up to get flowers and have a handful of flowers and a plate of food in the other hand, which doesn't seem like it's going to work. So what we're going to do is bring this time to a conclusion, take time for greeting and building beloved community as we eat nachos, and I'm going to move the flowers kind of to the exit, and as you go today, take some flowers with you to help you remember how much this place loves you and cares for you during the week. And with that, our service is ended. May our joyful fellowship and loving our caregivers begin.